Hello, hello, hello. Hi guys. I am live on 2 different devices today, and I love doing it like this because I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and anyone who's a content creator just knows that that is the bee's knees. Anyways, I'm over on this side. This phone is my Facebook followership. Hi guys, love you. Over this side is Instagram. Hi, good to see you guys. Okay. I actually brought notes today because I wanted to make sure that I hit all my little places. And first of all, I'm celebrating because we put on just the biggest conference that we've ever done ever in the history of our brand. And it was a massive success. I feel like I'm definitely rested after that. It took a couple weeks, to be honest. As a facilitator, putting on that big of an event, it does take some TLC when you get home. It takes a lot of intentionality. And so I haven't been live on here just because I was being intentional to take care of myself after doing something that big, of that magnitude. So I do have notes because I have so much to say 3 weeks out from this event. Holy guacamole. And a couple big secrets. A couple that were shared from the stage at Clear to Soar, so they're not common knowledge for all of the world, but I'm going to be sharing them today, so stay tuned and watch to the entire end because I have a lot to share. And one thing that I think even if people came to Clear to Soar, the live event, I still think it was missed, so I want to talk about it. So first of all, if you're watching live, do me a favor and tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being complete dog crap, and 10 being out of this world, the energy is fire today. How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Just quick temp check. Quick heart check. How you guys feeling today? Tell me how you're feeling, because my aim is that by the time that you leave this video, you feel inspired, you feel rejuvenated, and you feel at least 1 degree better than when you walked in the door. So tell me how you're feeling is number 1. Okay, so this video is a live to share 3 huge announcements that happened from Clear to Soar. 3 huge announcements. By far and away, we went out to dinner with some of our friends. One of them is a realtor here in our town where we live, and her husband. And even just going out to dinner last night, they didn't even attend the conference, and they were talking to me about the conference. They were like, how was it? How was the whole experience? And I said, in hindsight, we knocked it out of the park. I had a goal to have 150 people be a part of this, to attend it. And in hindsight, we had 166 amazing human beings who took part in our conference, whether it was in person or virtually. So we exceeded our initial goal, which to me was like a faith goal. It was a stretch for me. I've never had that many people in a room together for my company anyways. And so it was a huge success. The other thing that I want to say about this is at this dinner last night, our friends didn't even come to the conference. And that's fine by me. Not all my friends have to buy my stuff. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't even come to the conference, and they were like, we keep on hearing how good this is. We are running into people in town who, and that's weird to me because I don't feel like anyone even knows me in my town. Maybe 5 people, right? Actually know that I exist. That's my perception anyways. But they're we are literally running into people in town who are replaying this experience with their corporate teams, with their staff, with their loved ones, and they are raving about it. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I don't know. Any entrepreneurs here, have you ever had that experience where you're you kind of feel invisible, you kind of feel no one really gives a shit what I'm doing, and then people start telling you in person that they're hearing how great you are? That's happening. And I'm not going to lie, it feels kind of cool. So, we're getting texts from friends. We're just constantly receiving positive feedback 3 weeks out from this event. Yeah, the rumor mill. Exactly, Pam. Pam's over on Facebook. She's like, the rumor mill. Yes. And Sheena said, I swear I'm moving to Georgia. Listen, it's not horrible. I like it. Anyways. Okay. So consistently, I'm also getting messages, a text from a friend who bought the replay and is watching it with their corporate team, and they're like, this shit is fire, like honestly fire. And it's a dude, so like that also is validating for me, because this entire Clear to Soar conference that we just put on, it was an experiment, like highly experimental for our brand. And I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons why. Hey Camila, good to see you. First reason why it was experimental is that typically I coach and mentor on business, and this was not a business conference. This was a self-development conference. So number one, that was the first risk, was like, I was like, okay, I'm going to have people do guided meditations for 45 minutes as soon as they walk in the door. And so that was risky. People don't realize that that's a huge component of what I do, because I do it behind the scenes in my courses, right? I do all the energetic stuff behind the scenes in the business stuff. I'm very sneaky. I rope people in to make more money for themselves. And on the way there, I'm like, and first we have to fix your fucking energy. So let's do that first. So behind the scenes, I do this stuff all the time. But this was risky because I was like, okay, we're going to do it in person. Like, I'm going to get a whole bunch of people to do guided visualizations, to meditate, to elevate their mindset, to learn about energetics. Like, let's go, right? So that was experiment number one. Experiment number two was we added guys into the room. This was the first time in history that I've put on a live event and we invited them in. 90% of our brand has been built by working with women, and so that's been my niche. And by far and away, I feel like the blockade for a lot of women is their relationship and not being on the same page with their partner. So I was like, okay, like, why don't everyone come? And why don't you bring all of your teams? And why don't you bring your partners? Like, if there's anyone who directly affects your ability to make money, bring them all into the room. So again, experiment number two was we brought all the men into the room. So that was pretty wild, right? And then experiment number three is we've never put on a conference and live streamed anything of this scale and magnitude before. And we have a fourth kind of surprise that I'm going to be talking about today that, I'm going to hold that one. It was a giant experiment. And 3 weeks out, I can say it was pretty darn successful. And we're still getting feedback from people, like every day, messages, texts, voice notes from people who are like 3 weeks later, they're still feeling like elevated from this and still deepening the conversations. So that's pretty cool. What I want to also kind of just lay some groundwork by saying is like, we wanted to do this conference and this experience different than anything that I've ever been to or ever experienced. A ton of people who are in my network on the Facebook side, on the Instagram side, a ton of people I've met have been through business conferences. So just fast temp check. How did you guys meet me, or how did you find out about this account? Like, do we know each other in person, or how did you find out about me? Because if we met through self-development, like a conference, a speaking engagement, if we were in a personal development program, if we had the same coach, right? Like, this is proof positive that I have spent a lot of time attending conferences, self-development, and live events, right? So having been to probably 100+ conferences, I've experienced them. I've been there, done that, gotten all of the fucking t-shirts, right? And I wanted to do some things that were like industry disrupting. So one of the first things that I did was I decided that I wasn't going to take anyone into like a non-parasympathetic state the whole time. And if you understand like trauma-informed learning or the nervous system, that's a huge thing to say about a conference. There was no high-pressure sales pitch. There was no like fire walking. Like, there was no, break an arrow on your throat. I've been to all the conferences. Like, there was nothing, there was no like, everyone get up and dance now. Like, there was nothing that would take someone into a feeling of like panic. There was nothing that would take them into like a feeling of like pushing their edges really far. It was all hosted for 3 days for entrepreneurs who were already overstimulated. Like this whole 3 days was curated to nurture, nourish, encourage, inspire, and empower entrepreneurs and their partners who were walking in like burnout. So you don't get people unburnt out by burning them out, right? Like it doesn't really work. That's not how it works. Nathaniel Wyatt said, most chill conference ever. Thank you. And Haley said, felt so good to actually just focus on the event and healing. Yes. Shauna says, industry disrupting you are. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, a lot of people that are entrepreneurs right now, they're feeling overstimulated. And I knew that before they walked in. So I was like, okay, let's just take everyone into a more of a pleasure state and let's learn from there. So that was industry disrupting. But we added another industry disrupting component to the Clear to Soar conference, and that is I have attended probably 100 or more conferences, and I don't know of one time in my history of self-development that the person on the stage has ever offered me to do a milestone call with them after the event to discuss the event. Like, raise of hands, has anyone had this? Because if so, I want to know who else in the industry is doing this. Have you been to a conference where the speaker on the stage personally reached out to you after the event and offered to get on a free, completely complimentary gift call for you, not a sales pitch call, but a milestone call to ask you what was your experience of the event? What changed for you? How effective was it? Do you still need support afterwards? I've never had that, and I've gone to dozens and dozens and dozens of conferences. So again, like, we came home from this conference and I was like, I know my stuff is good, and also, like, I want to know how effective this was, because we didn't force people into like this heightened emotional state. We didn't say, everyone get up and cheer and run and dance and clap and high five and high five your neighbor and all these like bizarre things that churches do. No offense on churches, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't this contrived event. It was more like I wasn't forcing anything. And so from the stage, from my experience as a facilitator, I was looking out into the crowd, and a lot of people looked just very calm. And that's hard to read as a facilitator because I wasn't forcing anything, right? I wasn't like, everyone smack your neighbor's hand and say hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was none of that. It was just like letting people have the experience that they were having and letting that be enough. And so in hindsight, as a facilitator, I left going like, okay, so what really happened for these people in these 3 days? Like, I know what this work did for me, but I wonder if it had the same effect on the 166 people that were part of this 3-day experience. And so I made a commitment with my team. Once I got home, I just said, hey, can you guys open up my calendar? Which I don't do. Like, I don't open up my calendar unless it's private client coaching at a high ticket rate. Like, I just don't do it. But I was like, I've never had someone from a conference, from the stage, then interview me afterwards and find out, was it effective? And so this is what we're doing. If you guys are if you were part of the Clear to Soar movement, if you were there in the room, if you were watching virtually, you can expect my team is reaching out to book a call with me, private, for free, if you want it, just to discuss how it went for you. That's also super industry disrupting. I haven't heard of it because most people are just like, it was good enough that I showed up and I pumped them up from stage and they should be fine now, right? I don't know. I find that to be a huge assumption. So there's that. But in doing these calls, I've done 17 so far. I've done 17 of these milestone calls, 17 out of 166. So my team and I are crushing through them, just getting people in my calendar, and I'm getting to connect with people and find out how this event was, right? What actually changed, what's different for them, would they do it again, what they thought it was worth to them, right? Because I actually seriously want to know, because there's a surprise that I want to tell you about, but I'm going to hold it. But there's a reason that I'm doing this. besides I freaking care what happens to people. Okay. So the overwhelming feedback on these calls has been phenomenal. Phenomenal. I found out 3 main things on these calls. And by the way, if you decide to purchase the replay for Clear to Soar, which is $222, you automatically get on the list to do one of these calls with me. So that doesn't suck. But the overwhelming feedback has been that, number 1, people loved the guided meditations in the morning. Every day for 3 days, I took entrepreneurs and their partners through guided visualizations with a clear purpose of doing inner work, soul work, self-development, and getting clarity while they're in a very parasympathetic state. And there were people in the room that have never meditated before. There's people who have never sat through 45 minutes of meditation before, and they were like, I loved it. I didn't expect to love it. I loved it. There's people who are like, I kind of sucked out of the first day, but by day 3, I was dropped all the way in. And I was like, yes, this is amazing. But by far and away, people are telling me that they loved the guided meditations, that was like the very first part. Okay, Day is watching live on Instagram. She said, I love the meditation. It changed my morning routine. Here for it. Here for it. And not that I think that you have to meditate for 45 minutes in the morning, but if you're at a business conference and there's nowhere else that you need to be, why not have an extended experience? You know what I'm saying? So, like, that surprised me because, like I said, it was risky. It was risky to be like, okay, pay me to come to my conference, and I'm not going to just barrage you with business strategy. I'm going to sit you down and teach you how to center. So risky. I had one person in the room who really didn't like it, but out of how many people were there, number 1, I didn't expect them to, because religion, it just is what it is. And number 2, everyone else, it was a fuck yes. So over a 99% success rate, love it. Okay. Yeah, like I've had these behind the scenes in my programs, like Iconic, programs like Rev Chill, programs like The Sisterhood. I've been doing guided visualizations for years now, since 2020. And this was the first time that I just decided to bring it onto a major platform, and people loved it. So that was the thing number 1 that I heard. So if you're live right now, you can write, win number 1 was guided meditation. That was our first win. The people love the guided meditations inside Clear to Soar. Apparently people think that I have a career in leading guided visualizations. They're like, if you just had a whole program where all you did was lead people through guided visualizations, I would buy that. And I'm like, I may have a surprise for you, but it's a secret. Okay, so thing 2 that I've heard in all this feedback from our clients that did attend the live event, and we're doing these milestone calls with clients, is that we have had several people who are like, if I could join Locked and Loaded today, which is my business mastermind, I would do it. And I have so much to say about that, because my masterminds, they range from $22,000 to $55,000, and not everyone can do that financially. And if you can't, I wouldn't tell you to try. Like, it is what it is. But I have a lot to say about that, because there's other options besides the mastermind. So stay tuned, because I'm going to talk more about that. And the third thing, so win number 2 is a ton of people now want to join my mastermind, and they're looking for options. So if you're live, you can write win number 2 is Locked and Loaded. People want the mastermind. And the retreats. That's cool too. A lot of people have already booked the retreats, so that's cool. And win number 3 from this live event, and I think that this one is super cool. Win number 3 is like, so many people after the event have said that the thing that affected them the most, besides the guided meditations, was learning about energetics and emotions through my trademarked program. Yes, I trademarked it. Yes, I went through legal. Yes, I'm serious about this. I've been teaching it for years. People say no one teaches it like me. just my understanding of energetics, emotions, frequency, science, and how it affects leadership and money. People say no one teaches us the way that you do. So I have trademarked my program. It's called Frequency Intelligence. So I taught frequency intelligence, and then my husband and I brought together something called Alpha Omega Leadership, which is, it's less of a relationship program because I'm not a relationships coach. I've never said that I was. I will not make that claim to fame. It is not what I am interested in. I'm not a relationships coach. But I can teach you how to manage your state and become a better leader, and that affects your relationships. Anyways, I digress. A ton of people were like, by far and away, I loved Alpha Omega Leadership. It's the stuff about being a better leader and how that helps you interface in your relationships and with your team. And my husband and I co-hosted that section of the conference, and people are like, it was the best. I loved Alpha Omega. We kind of knew that was going to happen. Christina Russell is watching live, and she said the science pieces were the most impactful to me. I love the science behind the woo. Same girl, same. And Alpha Omega was fantastic. Thank you. I love you. Okay. So here's the thing about Alpha Omega. It was our longest session in the whole conference. It was the most Q&A heavy part of the conference. We actually skipped a section of the conference to extend Alpha Omega. Like, that's how important that part ended up being to the people in the room. But in hindsight, what I'm finding out is that a lot of the people who were there at the conference, or they're watching the replay at home, they're sharing the replay with their teams and with their romantic partners, and they're replaying it. And now they have this burning desire to continue the conversation, because they're like, oh my God, like, this actually makes sense. I'm understanding who I am in partnership with my team and with my romantic partner. And now that I can see who's who and what's what, like, now I have personal questions, and my partner has questions too, and my team has questions too. So we had anticipated that from the get-go. And if you were at the live event or you attended virtually, if you opened the program, and just do it. If you still have your program, open the program and go to the back. In the very back, there was a program called Alpha Omega Leadership, because we knew that this was going to happen. We knew that people were going to be like, holy shit, like, this makes so much sense. And also, now teach me everything. We knew that this would happen. We gave as much as we could possibly give, like, during that session, and we even extended the session and did Q&A, but people were like raising their hands all over the room. If you could see from the front of the room, people were like, I have a question, I have a question, I have a question. Because, like, that's what happens. It's kind of like when you learn about what your personality is, or like you finally understand who you are, then you're like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And now I have 5,000 questions. Okay. So we knew that this was going to happen. So Haley's watching live over on Facebook, and she said, holy shiitake here. And Nathaniel Wyatt said Alpha Omega was so eye-opening. Exactly. So this has been the third win, is that people are loving Alpha Omega and they want more. So if you're live, you can type win number 3, and it's Alpha Omega. People are loving it. They want more. So that is taking me to my big surprises. Big secrets coming out. Major secret. Big secrets. 3 of them. 3 of them. So if you've made it this far, thank you. And now here's the big reveal. Are you ready? Okay. Thing number 1 that I want to say is, I have had to hold it together internally every time that someone on the internet or in person, because now the news about this event has been spreading, and my neighbors are telling each other about it, and people on the internet are telling each other about it, and people who came to the live event are telling each other about it. And so now people are like, oh my God, Xtina, I didn't understand what this event was. And like, I don't blame you, because it was a huge experiment. It was a huge risk. It was out of the box. It was different than anything else that we sell. So like, yeah, I understand that people are like, I didn't know what this was. I didn't know. Okay. And now that people are saying this, they keep on saying to me, hey, whenever you do the next one, I'm in. And I'm like, dude, I don't have one of these on my schedule. Here's the shocker. Here's the surprise. Here's the thing. Okay, number one, we put this conference on, and it was a huge investment. If you're live, right, huge investment. Our team had to learn so much so fast because we never put something on this big before. But what we ended up doing was we got the highest quality cameras that we could. And I'm going to say it like this. They're Netflix quality cameras. Are you catching my drift? They're Netflix quality cameras. Wink, wink. Are you catching my drift? It was a huge investment. We spent thousands of dollars to bring in someone who's an expert in reality TV. They've worked on tons of productions. They filmed the movie The Hangover. They've been on tons of different projects alongside the production team that we've been working with for almost 2 years, because we wanted to basically film this and pitch it as a show. Not that and to be very clear, not that what happened in the room for the last those 3 days of Clear to Soar, not that necessarily will end up on Netflix. I don't think so. But what we did was that when it comes to companies like Netflix, they won't even consider looking at a pitch deck unless it's done with certain cameras. Are you following me? Like if it's not of a certain quality, they won't even look at it. So we put in a huge upfront investment to get the most high quality cameras, to bring in a bigger team, to bring in someone who is like very knowledgeable about reality TV and like movies and etc. And what we did during those 3 days is we filmed it because we want to turn this concept into a movement. The whole Clear to Soar conference, like, a reason that I'm meeting with every single person that came to this experience and every person who buys the replay and every person who streams it digitally is that I want to make sure it's effective, and I want to find out what pieces of it were most poignant and what moved them the most and what got the most transformation, because I'd like to make this concept a movement over the next 2 years. So surprise number one is for all the people that are like, oh my God, I'm hearing about your conference. It was so, like, people keep on talking about it. It sounds so good. I'll be at the next one. I'm like, I don't have a plan to personally put on another one of these. And I had hinted at that before I ever did this live. Like, I don't have a plan to put another one of these on because it was a tremendous investment of time, energy, emotion, learning, everything. And like, it had more moving parts than I really ever want to touch again. But we filmed it to turn into a pitch deck because we're going to be pitching the concept of human potentiality, of wealth transformation, of emotional intelligence, and people breaking through their money stuff inside of a 3-day event. And so the pitch deck is going to be rolling out over the next year, which is pretty fucking cool because if you know anything about the TV industry, there's a massive strike right now. And like, God bless the people of the strike. I hope they get all of their money. Like, I hope they get everything that they're asking for. And also it's opening an opportunity for people who are like us, who would like to make a movement and can pitch ideas because the networks are looking for different concepts. And I've seen some really good proof lately on, channels like Hulu, Netflix, Bravo, etc., where they're having kind of docu-series type of shows where people are like getting coached on their finances or getting, relationship advice or whatever. And like, I could see it working. So that's surprise number one. So if you were hoping that I was going to put on another Clear to Soar conference in the next year, personally, I am not. What I would recommend you do is get the replay of the actual 3-day experience, because we put our heart and soul and a lot of money behind that thing. And like, it's network quality content. So the live stream is available for, it's only $222 versus the tickets in the room were like $2,000, $1,000 to $3,000. So on average, $2,000. So if you're interested to see what we did in the room and you want to replay it, just buy the replay. It's $222. Please don't count on me to put another one of these on, because I don't have a plan to. My plan is over the next year of my life to work with our production team and turn this into a reality pitch. And that's what I'm going to be doing behind the scenes. So surprise number one is there is not another Clear to Soar on my menu at all. So buy the replay if you're interested to know what we did. But the reason for that is because we're turning it into a pitch, because we want to make it a movement. So that's number one. So if you want to, if you want to put surprise number one or secret number one is reality show pitch in parentheses, buy the replay, because I'm not putting another one of these on. Voila. So there's the secret number one that I'm so fucking excited about. Like, every meeting about it is getting more and more fun. And I'm just getting really fucking excited to see, like, if it turns out into anything. There are no guarantees, but I just feel a buzz about it. I feel like there's something there. Does anyone else kind of feel like there might be something there? I feel like there's something there. Okay, so that's secret number one. Okay. Secret two, after Clear to Soar, is I said this from stage, which I think it's kind of like tender for me. It's tender. I don't love having to say it, but like, I'm saying it. So it took us 9 months to plan and execute our conference. And now that you understand the gravity of like what we were aiming at, we weren't just aiming to put on a conference. Like, we weren't just like, oh, let's get a bunch of people in a room and like make some money. Like, that wasn't the point. The point was transformation. The point was to get the content. The point was to actually create a movement. And so it took us 9 months to plan and execute something of this magnitude. And so in doing this, I personally put off expanding my family during that time frame, because the stress level of it was like it was so high. You can ask my team. Like, I think Raven almost quit like 2 times. Like, she was just like, fuck this. Like, I love her, but I understand. It was so hard. Yeah. So it is, Nathaniel, it's a whole ass baby. It took us 9 months. Like, that was my baby of this year. I didn't have a baby this year because the conference was my baby and putting this together was my baby. However, I reserve the right that I would like to potentially add to my family next year. And so knowing that and knowing what it was like to have my first 2 babies while building a multi-million-dollar company, I just know that this might be my last baby, because I'm getting up there. My dad was such a brat. My dad the other day was just like, I wouldn't have another baby. You're getting up there, girl. I was like, Dad, seriously, come on. Anyways, I have a feeling that if I have another baby, this might be my last one. And so I'm just going to reserve the right to take some time off for next year. So the secret number 2 is that I can't promise you anything, but I'm reserving the right to have a baby next year. And I said this from stage at my conference, and I cried about it like a little bitch, which is fine because I am a little bitch, right? But I was just like, okay, this is the thing. But here's the thing that you have to know about my companies is I teach this to all my clients. I plan my company a year in advance. I plan my company a year in advance. If you're live, write this down, right? Xtina plans a year in advance. I do. I plan everything a year in advance. And so what this means for my masterminds, because a lot of people are now like, I want to be in your mastermind. It's on my vision board. It's on my dream board. And so with zero fake scarcity, with absolutely no manipulation, I have to tell you, I'm not planning on doing Locked and Loaded like forever. So if you've been eyeballing my masterminds, which run between $22,000 and $55,000 a piece, they're not for everyone. They're only for serious business people. They're a pretty significant investment. It's not for the curious. It's for the serious, right? If you're thinking about doing that, we are closing registration on my mastermind this fall. So I've talked with my own business mentors. They recommended to close the registration for October this year, which means if you want to be back in Locked and Loaded, if you're a previous client, or if you've never been a client and you're coming in, this year, beginning of October, is going to be the last time that you can join. And there will be a paid wait list for the next one, which might happen mid-2025. Is it landing? Your girl wants some space. So here's the thing about my masterminds. They've been rolling since 2019. I've had a mastermind almost permanently since 2019. I've had one gap when I had a baby. Two gaps when I had a baby because I've had two babies. But other than that, I've had masterminds rolling ever since 2019. And I'm at this point where I am all in 100,000,000% with the clients who are in Locked and Loaded right now. Every person that signs up creates another 12-month commitment in my heart to that person. And we just had a new person sign up this week. So I'm 1,000,000,000% in it with these clients until Q4 next year. There's nothing about me that's going to half-ass this. Like, I am all in with these people. I'm a fucking 1,000,000% in with the clients in my mastermind. And the goal of my space is, if you don't know that much about my masterminds, is that we aim to give our clients $100,000 in revenue as a result of being in our masterminds, and also to set them up with seven-figure frameworks to be successful far after the mastermind. So a lot of our clients do get that result. A lot of our clients get the result after they leave the mastermind, after they've completed. But this is what we do in this mastermind. It's serious business. It's entrepreneurial and it's serious business. So if you've been thinking about joining our mastermind, the last time to join it is going to be this fall. I want to say October 1st is like our hard cut, because I'm going to be all in with you for a year, and then I'm going to lean out and probably have a baby. And if I don't have a baby, I'm probably going to be building a house or doing some shit for reality TV. But any way you slice it, I'm not just going to be doing a mastermind for the rest of my life. Like, there has to be space for other things. So, secret number 2 is there's now a hard deadline to join Locked and Loaded by October 1st. And in parentheses, you can write baby. I'm not pregnant yet. Just by the way, I'm not pregnant yet because that doesn't fit with the year plan. We want to have the baby after the mastermind ends. You see? Planning. There's a bubble. There's a window. Got to be smart. So secret 2 is join Locked and Loaded by October 1st, parentheses, baby season. Okay. And let's see. Do I want to say? Yeah. So the third big announcement, that's not so much of a secret, but it's kind of an internet secret because I haven't talked about it very much, is this. I am hesitant to do business with my husband. Why? Something about watching the Rachel Hollis thing fall apart just scared me. I'm very cautious. I'm very cautious to do anything about marriage, about relationships. I'm very cautious for it. I've seen a lot of people leverage their relationship as the thing that makes them money, and then it burns to the fucking ground. And so Brad and I have been together for like 9 years now, and although people have legitimately been asking us since 2016 to do something around relationships, like just while you're live, just hashtag the word embodiment. Just hashtag embodiment. Hashtag the word embodiment. I don't want to teach anything about my life that I don't fucking have embodied. Like, I don't want to talk about relationships. I don't want to talk about energetics. I don't want to talk about conflict resolution. I don't want to talk about roles in relationships. I don't want to talk about anything that I don't have embodied. And so you can ask people that I've been in business masterminds and anything. Like, if my shit is not right between me and my husband, I'm not trying to teach anyone about it. And so for years, Brad and I have been just working with mentors. We've now worked with 35 different mentors, which they're the most phenomenal humans in the world. But we always reach for people who are doing life and business and marriage and relationships and child rearing 5 degrees better than we are, right? Like, we reach for that. And so over the years of working with over 35 different mentors and us getting the embodiment of it down in our own relationship and letting go of a lot of things that include religious trauma and gender roles and just a lot of expectations around men and women in relationships, and then mixing it with making a shit ton of money together, like, we have our own flavor of how we see leadership. And so with a ton of caution, and thank you for that comment. Sharana News said, I think the fact that you are cautious sets you apart. Thank you. So with a ton of caution and with a holy fucking respect for what we're about to roll out, my husband and I knew that if we stepped on a stage and started talking about Alpha Omega leadership and how we see leadership with money, with business, and with partnership, both romantic and on teams, that it was going to create more questions than answers, right? We knew that that was going to happen, and so before we ever stepped on the stage, we put together something called Alpha Omega Leadership. And that space is enrolling now, and it's about to open up. So it's not that huge of a secret, but it's tender to me because I have a holy respect for it. I want to just give a giant shout out to my trauma-informed entrepreneurship coach, Dr. Kimberly Rose Pendleton. I've been through her program. I highly recommend it. She's actually enrolling it right now. Today's the last day to join her thing. But like, I learned so much and had to heal so much to even step into this, to even talking about this with our clients. And it's tender. I have a huge respect for it, but I know based on what happened during Alpha Omega that it's needed. So if you loved the Alpha Omega conversation during Clear to Soar and you want more of it, we have Alpha Omega opening up. Jesse from my team is going to drop the links on Facebook. You can also DM me on Instagram for it. The vibe of it is you can join what we call solo. So if you just want to come in and learn about emotions and energetics in leadership by yourself, you want to get the solo pass for that. There's monthly payment options for it. They're like less than $200. I want to say it's like $177 or $188 per month. It's a 12-month journey. Because every month, my husband and I, either one of us or both of us, are going to be training live and talking about energetics, emotions, wealth, legacy, leadership, investing, all the things that are like the touchy subjects that people won't talk about in terms of team and relationship. And every month, we're going to train live, and we're going to do it in a platform like Zoom, where if you come live, you can then get laser coached. Because a lot of you guys had questions. You're like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. I've never heard it like this. And now what about this question? And we want to give people the option to get laser coached every single month so that you have actionable moves. You can go implement them and come back the next month with a shift, right? So Alpha Omega leadership is starting. And while, yes, my masterminds are like $22,000 to $55,000, this program is like $188 a month for a solo. there's a second option to join that's a partner. So you can do solo or you can do partner. And if you are finding that you would like to experience the energetics and emotions training, you want to go through more about your own partnership or your team, you can buy a partner pass for 2 people. And what that gives you is access for 2 people to come on and get coached, 2 people to have a replay vault. You can watch the replays on demand. You can tap into them 24/7. But the partner pass gives 2 people access to come in and get coached, to get a vault. And it's like super cheap. I think it's like $30 more, $40 more, or something like that per month. So yeah, $180 a month for 12 months, Nellie Bandman. So those are options for Alpha Omega. It's opening, I want to say, Jessie, can you tell me when it opens? She should be live right now. Our first training has not happened yet. It's a year-long journey. It's $188 a month for a solo, and I want to say it's $222 a month for a partner pass. So, yeah, September 22nd is our first training. Yep. And if you can't make it to the trainings live, this is a common question. People are like, is there a replay? Yes, there's always a replay. We put it in a vault for you, so there'll be a Facebook group that you can access it on. You'll also have a vault on Kajabi that you can go back and access the trainings on so that you can watch them 24/7 and you can replay them even with your partner or your team. Huge fan of that. So yeah, those are our 3 big announcements. So number 3 is Alpha Omega opens September 22nd. That is our surprise number 3. It's not a huge secret. It's a surprise. Surprise number 3 is Alpha Omega starts on September 22nd. Okay. So what else did I want to say on this? I think that's all. I feel pretty freaking complete. And I'm wondering, out of the 3 secrets, which one is most exciting? Which one tickles your pickle? 1, the reality show vibe, aka buy the replay because I'm not doing this again unless a network pays for me to do it. 2, possible baby vibe next year, aka buy freaking your mastermind now because it's closing. And by the way, here's the thing that I want to say about my masterminds is there's a price range that it is right now, which is $22,000 to $55,000 to join my masterminds, like locked and loaded. And then there's the price that it is right now, and there's the price that it will be in 2025. Because if you haven't noticed, we are having clients that are doing $1 million in a year. We're having clients that are quickly hitting their 6 figures plus. And so just the client level is elevating, and I have a feeling that I'm going to be doing a lot of B2B, like business to business stuff and media stuff in 2025. So don't expect these prices for the mastermind in 2025. It'll probably be double. Not to be rude, but that's what it's going to be. Or 3, the Alpha Omega is an offering. It is available, and there's a partner pass or a solo pass. Okay. So what's your favorite out of the 3? Let me know in the comments. And tomorrow I'm going to be live. Just a heads up, I'm going to be live on Facebook. It won't be over here on Instagram, I don't believe, because I don't know a way to stream it that way. But I'm going to be live tomorrow with one of my locked and loaded clients. I feel really strongly that the world has not seen enough of what our clients do inside of Locked and Loaded. And so probably for the next, I would say 45 days or so, I'm just going to be showcasing what our clients do because the world needs to see it. And a lot of you could probably use their services. So tomorrow on my Facebook, I'm going to be live with one of my Locked and Loaded graduates talking about, number 1, her experience at Clear to Soar, what it was like for her in Locked and Loaded, what she's doing now. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So tomorrow I'll be live here with one of my beautiful clients on Facebook just to recap what the vibe is and show you what the hell they're made of. Okay, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for entertaining me today and being here from the start to the finish and hearing about our big secrets that are coming out. I know it probably seems small, but it's a lot. Like 9 months of planning this thing so that we could film it for reality is a fucking lot. And the secret's out. So that's what we're up to. Okay. Love you guys. Thanks so much for today.